Hey everyone, and welcome back to Masonzero MTG. It took me a while, but I'm finally making my video on my favorite cards from the new Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate set. The cards that I've picked today are for what I would consider a relatively normal or average cube, but of course that definition varies for everyone. I've tried to include some powerful cards, potential replacements for staples, and cards that I personally like and find unique. But if you have different opinions, and I know you do, then I'd love to hear them in the comments below. Let's get started. I want to start with an honorable mention. I want to give a nod to all the peasant cubes out there, as these lower power level environments are quite popular in the cube community. Amethyst Dragon is one of the most compelling of the new adventure dragons because it is literally two existing magic cards stapled together, mana costs and all. Both Pyrotechnics and Volcanic Dragon see play in some peasant cubes, so it's a no-brainer to include Amethyst Dragon and free up a slot for another card you want to play. Dealing 4 damage divided as you choose can devastate an aggro deck, and a 4/4 Flying Haste creature can threaten to end the game. Deep Gnome Terramancer is a fantastic white ramp spell that really shows its power the more powerful of a cube you have. In cubes that have fetch lands or just green ramp cards like Cultivate, Deep Gnome Terramancer will make white-based decks able to keep up a bit better. It can also grab any Plains card, meaning you can get dual lands with it. Having Flash also means you can get the first land by surprise. It's powerful in Commander, and it should be decent in cubes as well. Gale Waterdeep Prodigy satisfies another one of my favorite types of cards that let you cast more spells. Gale is a 3-mana creature that gives you some access to spells in your graveyard. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, you can cast one of the other type from your graveyard. You still have to pay their costs and they exile, so it's a lot like Flashback, but it lets you get around timing restrictions on sorceries. You of course have to cast the card immediately, so you can get up to some interesting shenanigans that not even Snapcaster Mage can get. The card also lets you choose a background, which obviously isn't relevant in Cube, although you could do a Commander Cube, but it doesn't seem to have made the card cost enough extra mana to make it unplayable. I think this card could be a lot of fun in a Spellslinger's deck and just another unique way of being able to cast spells from your graveyard. Monster Manual is one of the new artifacts that has adventure, and I think it has a potential spot in cubes that aren't super high level. I get excited by these green cards that can cheat creatures into play. It costs 4 mana to cast and 2 mana plus tapping it to put a creature from your hand directly onto the battlefield. This puts it in competition with cards like Elvish Piper. Monster Manual being an artifact means you can activate it immediately if you have the mana, and it could be harder to kill than a 1 toughness creature depending on what else is in your cube. It also comes with an adventure you can cast on turn 3, which lets you mill 5 cards and return a creature to your hand. This is a decent piece for a Golgari Reanimator deck, but can also help you cast Big Eldrazi, or just save a little bit of mana over the course of a long game. Descent into Avernus reminds me a lot of Sulfuric Vortex, and I think if you're running Vortex, then there's an argument to be made for running this card instead. While Sulfuric Vortex deals 2 damage to a player on their upkeep, Descent into Avernus only triggers on your upkeep and starts at 2 damage, but goes up by 2 every turn. Sulfuric Vortex prevents players from getting life, while Descent into Avernus creates treasures for each player. It might depend on the rest of your cube if this is better or worse. Either way, it's symmetrical and treats both players the same, but at the same mana value and slightly less restrictive mana cost compared to Sulfuric Vortex, I think it's highly worth considering if you already run it. I always love Planeswalkers, and I think that Elminster is incredibly unique. Most blue-white Planeswalkers are, Teferi, and not everyone likes Teferi. Elminster offers something a lot less oppressive and a little more build-around. It's a spells matter Planeswalker in the same way that Narset Transcendent is, but it cares specifically about scrying. There are plenty of cards that scry, and I think it'd be fun to have a scry or top of deck matters archetype in your cube, but Elminster is nice enough to combo with himself, guaranteeing that an instant or sorcery will cost 2 less to cast each turn with his plus ability. His minus ability combos well with scrying, as you can throw away a card from the top of your deck that you don't need in order to get some 1/1 flying tokens. The versatility is really nice, and this is a great choice for cubers who are tired of Teferi but would love an Azorius Planeswalker that does something different. Well, those are my top 5 picks, plus an honorable mention. Cube is great because it can be whatever you want it to be, so I'd love to hear what you're considering. I for one will not be using Elminster myself, and probably not Deep Gnome Terramancer either since I don't run fetches or duels in my cube. but the others and more will fit perfectly. If you want to see my cubes, the lists are linked below. And if you like this video, let me know by leaving a like and subscribing. I would really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video, and don't forget to also watch my Pauper Cube video for this set if you're interested in that.